Welcome back to Red Cedar Radar. Michigan State just took on Purdue here in the Breslin Center and came away with a win. I wasn't sure how the game was going to go leading into it because they've been kind of up and down recently with that loss against Indiana. So I wasn't sure what to expect, but the Spartans kind of had their footing the entire game. There wasn't too much of a time, maybe a little bit in the first half, that I felt things might start to slip away, but they were able to kind of keep the game close the whole time. And leading into halftime, we're able to kind of make a decisive lead and kind of get some momentum. So I was pleased with how the game went here at home. Any just overall comments before we get to our usual?
Yeah, I thought, Michigan State got down 21-14, I believe it was. Yeah. Bounced back, went on, I believe, a 13-5 run in the first half. But credit to them for they carried that momentum into the second half. I think they started the second half on like a 10-2 run or something like that.
8-0,
so
8-0.
Yeah.
8-0.
So they carried that momentum going into the second half. Transition game was really good. Limited the turnover, so I thought overall it was a really solid game for Michigan State. A lot of guys contributed, 4 guys in double figures, so I thought overall it was a solid game.
I think it was like the guard play. That was the thing that kind of stood out to me, especially when you look at the stat sheet. I tweeted this earlier on the SI account. 17 combined assists for the 4 guards, Akins, Richardson, Fears, and Holloman. One turnover, 8 steals. That's, you're trying to write a winning formula. That's what your guards do. Dishing out dimes, not turning it over, and then swiping it away. And Braden Smith there, Purdue superstar, could very well win Big Ten Player of the Year. He got his 8 assists, right about season average, but he turned it over 16 times. So all around, I think it was really MSU's guards that really won them this game.
Yeah. Player of the game, Jace Richardson led the team in points. There wasn't like a super standout superstar to me like there has been in games in the past, like Jace Richardson and most recently Jackson Kohler. I think everyone was just kind of doing their job in a, I don't want to say understated way, but everyone was doing their job enough that no one needed to kind of be that standout. Do you guys have a player of the game?
I like Trey. I really like the way Trey Holloman. He only had 7 points. He had 6 assists, 1 turn. He had the 1 turnover of all the guards, but just the energy he played with on the defensive end, to me, just really stood out. His help defense was great. I'm not a big basketball savant. You can just kind of tell, his presence on the defensive end was different today, and did a really good job helping them contain Braden Smith.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry, I'm going to butt in, but no, I thought he was a very underrated aspect today for Michigan State. He didn't light up the score sheet, only had 7 points, but really good defensive end, really good passing the ball. But I think Kohler and Zapala, the 2 starting bigs, did really well. I think they combined for 18 points, 9 apiece. I believe they combined for 8 rebounds, somewhere around there. So I thought they contributed off the glass, on the scoreboard. So I thought those 2 did a really good job. And they really headlined those Michigan State bigs tonight.
Along with what you said about Holloman, I think Jaden Akins played a good game on defense as well. He was a little bit quiet on the offensive side of things, and I think Izzo even mentioned that in his post game. There was a few kind of wide open things that Jaden Akins missed that maybe he wouldn't usually, but I thought he played great on a couple of Purdue's main guys that like to score for them quite a bit. Fletcher Lawyer, and I think he was on Braden on and off, but
it was a bit of a cocktail on Braden Smith on who was guard. It was kind of a collective effort. Again, but Braden Smith and Kaufman Run got their stats. Kaufman Run had 24 points on 13 shots.
Yeah.
Got to a free throw line. Smith got 17, but it felt like everything they got was tough. There wasn't like a point in the game where Kaufman Run just basically, there might have been like 1 or 2, but it wasn't happening possession after possession where guys are just getting an easy layup. They had to hit threes. They had to hit some. Braden Smith hit some crazy shots at some points in this game. So there was very little easy baskets for the Boilermakers tonight.
Anything from this game, that you think Michigan State needs to clean up before the rivalry matchup on Friday?
There's nothing really that stood out to me. Free throw shooting was here and there. Cooper struggled at the line.
71.4.
Yeah, I think Cooper
not bad, but not
Cooper missed a fair
to,
amount of those. I think Fears needs to be a little bit less hesitant when he gets the ball and he's open. Needs to pull the trigger, I'd say, a little bit more. But, I think Fiddler, I don't know, we haven't really mentioned him yet, but I think he's really coming in his own. He had a good game in double figures again today.
He had that one sequence that was about as good as any MSU players had. Probably hit a corner 3.
Yeah.
I don't know. That probably made it a 6-8 point game. couple possessions, and he immediately he cut off a pass on the other end, and he was all alone. He just dunked it. But just like that, 5 points basically solely from Fiddler. It really got the crowd into it even more.
Yeah, and the play I really liked is shot clock was winding down, ball got kicked out to him, and got it immediately drove the lane. Got a foul, got to the line. That's part of his game. That was really good at Omaha, and that's carried over to Michigan State. So he's really good at doing that. Late in the shot clock, he can get you to the line.
It was just really as a whole, MSU was really composed today. I think when their possessions were getting down late in the shot clock, I remember one of the first, I think Jace Richardson hit like a 25, 26 footer right at the end of a shot clock. Fiddler drew like a crazy foul at some point with the shot clock going down. There were just a couple of buckets that they stole. I think Carson Cooper had like a Dirk Nowitzki fadeaway as like the shot clock buzzer sound. This might be. It's kind of one of those buckets where this is probably their night.
It was their night, and they shot 68% in the second half, which is insane. So that was impressive. They did have a couple of shot clock violations early in that first half, but overall, really good. Limited turnovers, shot the ball really well. I think it was pretty much a complete game for Michigan State. One of the best games of the season.
You're at home. You're gonna beat anyone in the Big Ten with that game today.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, any predictions for MSU's matchup against Michigan on Friday? It's a big game, even bigger now with this win, I think.
If I had to put, I think Michigan has the slight edge here because it's in Ann Arbor, and I also think a big part of this thing is that Michigan has a two-day rest advantage. Michigan played on Sunday, got a rivalry win against Ohio State, and they're gonna be more fresh than MSU is, and they've had more time to prep on MSU's deep rotation for the game in Ann Arbor. But this is exactly where you need to be if you're MSU. This is where they've dreamt of being game for first place.
I don't think they could have set themselves up any better for this game other than a win here at home. I think things may have seemed a lot more shaky, and they would have been a lot more shaky if they had to drop this game to Purdue here at home. Do you have a prediction?
I don't know about a prediction yet, but I think the X factor is 100% the turnover battle. I know Michigan struggles with it at times this season. Michigan State struggled with it at times this season. Past 2 games, Spartans have been good at it. 7 turnovers against Illinois, 8 turnovers tonight. I think it's going to come down to the turnover battle, and it should be a really close game. Sole possession for first place on the line.
There was a stretch just over 20 minutes today where MSU didn't turn the ball over once. I think they turned it over a bunch early on. I think they had 5 in the first 10 minutes or so. And they went right up until 10 minutes in the second half where that number stayed at 5. And that was part of that. I think in that span, they went from trailing a little bit to having, a 10-point lead.
So that was like a 20-minute stretch.
Yeah, there was pretty much 20 minutes, about 30-something seconds where they were between turnovers, which college basketball, I think they were probably plus 15-ish. Again, this is unofficial stats, but they were very much a plus during those 20 minutes.
Anything else you want to share? I feel like, are either of you going to the game in Ann Arbor?
I don't believe.
We'll
have to ask David.
I don't know who's covering Spartans Illustrated.
Someone will be there.
None of us are covering, but we wish them all the best, whoever's going down there. I think that kind of wraps up our episode here. We will have more post-game episodes when the Spartans come back to the Breslin here soon. Subscribe to Spartans Illustrated for basketball coverage and pretty much everything else, because there's constantly something new on the site. Subscribe to Red Cedar Radar wherever you listen to podcasts, and find us on YouTube. Thanks so much. Bye.